welcome back to another video. Uh, that's Jam. I'm Kenny. Today we're going to be going into something that we've talked about before, which are fan movie theories that will completely change the way that you view some of these movies. Um, the last time we talked, we spoke about it was Sandy was dead
Sandy
from
and
the
Grease.
beginning of Grease. Um, Now I forgot the one I did, but I think that Grease one was way better because it was kind of very morbid. So it was, I think, a much better like kind of explanation to a movie, whereas other ones fall a little bit into the movies a little easier, such as like characters spanning across multiple universes, because it's kind of hard to say an actor kind of gets typecasted sometimes. So I can see that being a thing, but.
I remember what you talked about. You brought up the Steve Buscemi.
Oh yeah, he's the same character across the three movies.
Yeah, like Billy
Yeah, because,
Madison. And, yeah.
yeah, and but again, that one's easier to say like it could be possible because a lot of actors are hired to act a certain way because they're good at it. Much like Nicolas Cage's character being casted as crazy characters in movies.
Mm.
But this time we're gonna start with a movie classic um, that uh, Jam is very, very familiar with, and that is Indiana Jones. And this is the first movie, Raiders of the Lost Ark, in 1981. And I should actually say there are spoilers in this video, especially since we're going to be going over maybe some more recent movies later on.
Mm.
But I'll put that up beforehand so you guys can either skip that part of the video uh,
Yeah. By the
or
way, I
maybe
am one
watch
of
it.
those people. I am one of those people that subscribes to the idea that it's like if this movie's been out for years, I'm sorry, there's no
Yeah.
such thing as a spoiler.
Yeah.
We'll do it just to be exactly, exactly. But I was trying to find the word for that, but I'm like, at this point, man, I don't think even those people that haven't seen it. I mean, I don't think they care. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's just, but we'll do it. We'll do it.
All right. So
We'll do it for the internet.
spoilers ahead for Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark, even though it is more than 21 years past. So this one was sort of popularized recently in pop culture. I guess it's been around for a long time. I have really no clue where it's come from. Like when I look these up, there's some that some were able to track back, but some that I haven't been able to. And this one was one of them. But this one states that um, because of how the events happened in Indiana Jones, in reality, um, had he not been in the movie, the events would have turned out almost exactly the same. Do you know what I
Okay.
mean? So this states that had Indiana Jones not been
Elaborate.
involved, the Nazis would have still found his daughter, not his daughter, well, Indy's ex, the doctor's daughter, which was the person who was calling for Indy's help. Um, she they would have found her and probably killed her. So I think the only thing that probably changed was the fact that she survives in the movie. But they're saying they would have found her, killed her, taken the eye, found the ark, taken it to the island, still opened it, and died. Now, what
Mm-hmm.
happens to the ark after that? Who knows? That could probably be, a sequel to Raiders of the Lost Ark. But that's sort of what the fan theory entails. Now, with any of these theories, I'm sure there's gonna be some plot holes. You know,
Yeah.
um,
Well, I mean, there would have been no movie. They just would have found the thing. They would have opened it, right, or they would have gotten right, and he would have opened it. Somebody would have opened it.
yeah,
Uh, I
maybe
would
people.
argue. I would argue that Indy. I mean, you could almost say that he pressured them into kind of opening it the way that they did, and it didn't get to Hitler for him to open it and get burned alive
Oh,
because
it probably
he
would
was
have.
going. he was fighting them along the way, and then they're like, yeah, we got to open this thing. We got to do this now. And
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, I would say, you know, to take that is that one step further is that Hitler would have probably been no more. He would have definitely. You think Hitler would have opened that thing, or he would have let like his
Oh,
scientists open that? I think Hitler's the type of dude
he would have opened
that
it.
yeah, either he personally would open it, or he would have like requested that he be there when they
Yeah,
open it.
it would before you open it. I gotta be there because
This
whatever
is
comes
mine.
out of there is yeah, basically it's saying it's mine. Um, I mean, depending on what point in the war, also the movie took place in, because I can't remember exactly. Like, had it been closer to the end of the war, he would have opened that thing as soon as he saw it, looking, hoping for the answer to turn the tides in his favor. But again,
Yeah.
there are a few things that people said, like you mentioned, of course, like maybe they wouldn't have opened it, maybe they would have waited longer, or maybe something else would have come up, right?
The other thing to fight against that would be that Indy was somewhat instrumental in finding it, right? Because weren't they looking in like the wrong location?
Oh yes. Oh, that's right. They were,
Not have never found it, but they might have not
or it might have taken
ever
longer to
found it,
find
but
it. But I
or
think,
taking longer.
I mean, a lot of the things that they mention in the theory sort of do fall to common sense, such as like the doctor was dead, right? So they knew the doctor had it, but he was dead. Um, so like common sense would dictate, okay, well, did he have family? How do we contact? How do we find out who got all his stuff? So
Oh yeah,
that,
they definitely would have found her.
yeah, you
It
know,
could be. I mean, we would have we'll have faith in that. What's his name, Bellic, or the villain from that first movie, that he would have eventually figured it out. But I don't know. You know, this is Indiana Jones, and he's Indiana Jones for a reason, because he's the
yeah,
ultimate bronze and brain. And it's fun to think about, if knowing that if they did, they would have definitely found it, and if they did find it, that's the one thing I always think of, like I would think about in this, is whether or not Hitler would have been. He probably would have died. He probably would have definitely died by that thing. I
yeah.
definitely think he would have requested, just because what we've learned about Hitler in history is that that's he's one prideful son of a bitch, and he definitely would have opened up that arc.
Yeah, so that was the Raiders,
Mhm.
the Raiders of the Lost Ark fan theory. It's a little shorter than the other ones, but it's I think it's one of the funner ones.
Yeah, it's just
Uh,
fun to think about Hitler getting his face melted.
all right, so we're gonna move on to the next one. And this one again goes to an older movie, Blair Witch Project.
Ooh,
Uh,
the Blair Witch.
yeah, spooky
In
movies.
we'll say that we're bringing this up solely because they're essentially going to reboot the franchise.
Are they rebooting the franchise?
Yeah, Bloomhouse, I believe, is going to be taking lead on that one. So they'll be collaborating with, oh man, who's the one who does it? I can't remember who does that. Who did Blair Witch? But
Yeah, it was Lionsgate Films who brought the first, who distributed the first one.
yeah, it
All
might be
right.
that they're going to be collaborating with Lionsgate to start,
Production and
revamping.
distribution.
Yeah, revamping a lot of their product. Yeah, more importantly, like production, like revamping a lot of their property, their horror property specifically, and Blair Witch being like the first thing that they're going to be working on.
That'd be dope.
So
I remember seeing the
let's see.
first one very early on, and for those of you who don't know what the movie's about, it's sort of it was like the progenitor. It was the first sort of found film movie, right?
Found footage. Yeah, it started all that.
Yeah.
Started all
So it
that.
was supposed to be. It's basically a found footage film that's supposed to follow three students. I think they're in college and they're
Mm-hmm.
filming a video for one of their classes. And it's actually two of them, and the characters are Heather and Joshua, and they're joined by a third friend of Michael's, which is of Joshua, which is called Michael. So Josh knows Michael, but Heather doesn't know Michael. And then Michael is just here to film everything for them because they're following they're trying to
I think
uncover the legend of the Blair Witch,
yeah,
which
they're
is
actually looking for that, right? Like
yeah,
that's the
was
whole thing.
it's an urban legend from the town that they live in. And in the movie, ultimately, they are sort of they sort of encounter some weird things that can't really be explained, and the movie sort of does end open ended without really confirming anything. What happened to who? How did all this go down? But one thing that sort of is left clear is that more than likely all three of them are dead.
Yeah,
Like in
yeah,
any horror movie, you got everybody dies. But the theory is that Michael and Joshua actually kill Heather, and they're the ones doing all the things throughout the movie that are sort of um, seen as paranormal things, like the scene where there's the little symbols hanging from the trees. The theories they did that. They were messing with her all the way till they killed her. So like they were trying to get her to panic and freak out before they killed her. And so the theory is Joshua got the idea to say, "Hey, let's try to investigate um, this urban legend," knowing that she might be afraid, and ultimately just like drive her crazy and kill her. Um,
now it's do they say if their intent, what their motivation for it is? Is it just for the sake of
it
wanting to kill her, or is
they
it for
were
the
it
sake?
was I think it follows the same thought process that um, sort of Scream 1 followed, which was not they want to be famous, but they want to sort of bring light to this urban legend and make it seem real. And so they had to disappear. So she dies, they disappear, and nobody knows what happens, right? They're never seen again. Doesn't say where they escaped to. Doesn't really matter. The point is that they were able to then amplify this urban legend.
It could be true. Like it could, like the way that they, because they made the ending so vague, the actual directors, and up to interpretation, these kinds of theories are even more plausible. You know what I
Right.
mean?
The sequels sort of lend themselves uh, to this having been a setup murder. If you remember in the sequels, we find out that there's like a cult for the Blair Witch. Um, ultimately you see the Blair Witch, and I'll be completely honest with you, it's such a letdown. If you, it's a it's a
Yeah.
big letdown. You see the witch, you're
The
like,
second they made it real is the second that they made a massive mistake.
yeah, dude. Because I think
Was
they
it
could have kept going.
weren't they getting into like a possession type of storyline with it? I honestly don't remember seeing the sequels that came out.
I think in the third one, oh, no, which one is it? I think it is in Book of Magic, which I think might be the second one. They're trying to resurrect her, but by bringing her soul into somebody else. I can't remember what it was. It was honestly really fucking bad. Like,
Yeah, yeah, they were terrible.
yeah, the sequels were horrible. But they, again, with the whole there being a cult to the Blair Witch, it sort of does lend some more credibility to this, that maybe they were part of the cult and they killed her. You know what I mean?
Hmm,
So
Carson Cole. Hmm.
yeah, so this is another one of the good ones that I saw. Uh, I thought this one
Silence.
would be dope, just because uh, all of these could fit in. And again, I'm sure producers and directors and writers have been like, no, that's not the thing, but it doesn't matter. It's real to
Would you
me.
say would you say it's even more plausible than the Grease theory? Even though a lot of these, I think damn near all these directors come out and were like, no, that's not it. And that's another conversation in itself. But would you say that this one was even more plausible than the Grease one, or is the Grease one still king?
I'm gonna say the Grease one is still king because the Grease one is standalone. For this one
Yeah.
to really be solidified, you need part two, with the cult.
Yeah, it's almost like there's just too much that goes on within the Grease film that kind of keeps pushing that
Yeah,
theory,
the
making that theory even
representations.
more. There's a lot more things that happen and within the story that in the movie that makes that one feel even more likely, even though I think the original creator came out and said that wasn't the case. But you never know with these people. But
Yeah. All right.
moving on.
We have one more. This one. I can see it working, but you're a much bigger expert on this movie than I am. I watched it once. I remembered it. I haven't watched it more than once, and it's Get Out.
Mm,
And the
I
theory
love that
is
movie.
that in Get Out, so a little again about the movie is Get Out is a movie that takes place in a horror universe where
Jordan Peele's first film.
Jordan Peele's first film, but I think main character Chris is going to meet his girlfriend's parents for the first time.
And
They,
Chris is African American. His
yeah,
girlfriend's white.
she's white.
She's white.
As you can imagine, Rod, Chris's friend, he's also black.
Well, that's the theory, is that the movie takes place all in his head.
Yeah. And so again, spoilers here.
This whole film is a spoiler.
This whole thing is
this
gonna
whole
be
video
spoiled.
is a
I'm just gonna
spoiler.
put spoilers in the title. But Chris and his girlfriend go to her parents' house, where he uncovers that they have been mind transplanting old people into young black people's bodies with science and some sort of technology. And so the movie shows that Chris is taken to this community where her parents live, and not just her parents, but her parents and their friends live, where they do all these mind transfers into these people. And Chris is their next victim. And as the movie goes on, you sort of see Chris interact with the whole family, and ultimately he's able to escape this.
Well, he finds out that the girlfriend. He ultimately finds out that the girlfriend is essentially like
She's a
she's the
honeypot.
go-getter. She's the hunter. Yeah, she goes and finds all these young, strapping young African American men or women. I think there was a girl up in those pictures too. So she's
Yeah.
she's getting all these people and ultimately getting involved with them and to the point where she brings them back here, where their homes are like in the woods. I forgot where they're at, but like they're in some random place, and it's a whole community of rich people, and the mom is a hypnotist, and it starts with her. There's also the surgery involved. Like the dad is a surgeon, and he's actually transplant. He's putting the mind. Isn't he putting the mind?
Like
doing
the
something
part of the
there's-
brain that's supposed to have their, like, who they are and all that stuff.
and replacing it, right? Like he's
Yeah.
putting it into and then so
Yeah.
there's still some of the there's still some of the person in there, the original person in the mind, but for the most part, it's the other.
I think it's like the memories
it's the
and
new,
stuff.
Yeah, it's like the new person is there. Yeah, they can't like fully replace the brain.
Yeah.
It's just part
You
of it
see it
type
in the
of thing.
middle when they take the picture of the guy, and you saw it in the trailer. They take a picture of the guy and he freaks out,
Yeah,
and then she has to like hypnotize him again. So
because there's something about that triggers him to kind of come back into the fold.
yeah. So the
Yeah, I love
theory
that movie.
is that this all happens in Rod's head, and
Rod the TSA agent.
Rod the TSA agent. And the reason it happens in his head is because Rod is very into conspiracy theories, and he's also very like I don't want to say
Excitable.
Huh?
Excitable.
yeah,
Like
but
he
he's
kinda-
into conspiracy theories, and he's sort of like, hey, you can't trust white people kind of thing.
Yeah, paranoid.
Yeah,
very
he's paranoid like that. And so since they're an interracial couple, he like warns them like, oh, you gotta be careful. These families are like this. Sometimes they don't take well to, their daughters bringing home interracial people, an interracial
He's the comedic
partner.
relief. So when he says it, he's bringing it up like in a very, very. You laugh at him because he's very over the top and dramatic with it.
Yeah.
But it's
Almost
just like he
unbelievable.
he almost like breaks down what's going to happen in the movie
Yeah.
before the movie happens, right? And everyone, and it's like you're not meant to take him seriously because he's clearly paranoid.
Yeah,
And
he's crazy. He's the unreasonable one in the film.
he's
And then
dramatic and paranoid. I'm
yeah,
gonna say that.
and then come to the end, where Chris is making his final escape, as you know the scream queen of the film. And Rod shows up.
Yeah.
He's a scream queen, bro. I mean,
He's a scream king.
no, he's gonna be a scream queen, but Rod shows up to save the day, and he sort of starts gloating that I told you I was right. This is what happens when you when you don't follow what I tell you. So it sort of comes again full circle to like, oh shit, he was right all along. So the theory is that while Chris is away with his girlfriend, they're just having a normal weekend, and Rod's just imagining how he's gonna show up and save the day at the end of it, right? He imagines what his friend is going through, and then he wakes up the next day and he goes, yeah, I'm a hero because I saved his ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They could have easily bringing this one. I've heard this one before too, and they could have easily put in a scene where he just wakes up and he's just like, "Damn, that was a crazy dream." You know what I mean? Or a crazy nightmare or something. You know, and that could have been that, and it would have made sense. That's why I love this one too, because it's definitely plausible within like the way that the story is structured, and the way that he acts. Very much. I mean, it's definitely possible. But I know Jordan Peele came out and was like, "No, that's not what happened." Again, this always comes back to my like. I think these filmmakers kind of be a little bit prideful, and I don't know. Maybe I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, but I'm just saying. I think a lot of these films, a lot of them come out and say like, "No, that's not what it was," and it's like, well, then tell us what it was, and they don't tell you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They don't. They want to leave things up to interpretation. I'm just like, man, you know that's what it was. You know what I mean? Like,
it always is.
I don't know.
It always is. Because I mean, even then, like you can't say that they didn't look at the movie at the theory too and go like,
yeah,
fuck that. Oh shit! I did kind of leave it open for that interpretation.
Yeah,
You know?
it's just interesting how you have these movies that kind of do that. And if he didn't mean to do that, then I mean that just speaks to it's like maybe he didn't even know how great the film was if he didn't even know that that's a way to interpret it. But I mean that happens. That happens. I think especially with a lot of the great films out there. But yeah, I definitely I like this one a lot. It's just because it totally makes sense. But I also get why Jordan Peele would not want that to be the case, just because it kind of takes away some of the I don't know what the for lack of a better phrase, like seriousness of the theme of the film.
Yeah.
And it's almost like it just makes it not real when it's like, no, this very much was real. This is what makes it scary, especially for African American people watching this film. And it's like it feeds to that inner paranoia. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just like in a lot of ways, they are Rod. In a lot of ways, they are Chris. And this is how they look at this kind of stuff and look at culture. And these are very real fears, and so you turn that into that. So, I mean, I guess that's why I give them the benefit of the doubt in that that's not really the case. And it's just it's a fun theory to think about, but ultimately this was really meant to have happened, and that was the outcome of it. But it's still interesting to me.
Yeah. So that means Rod is a hero.
Rod is the hero of the film.
Yeah, he didn't dream it. Good for him.
Yeah.
Good on you, Rod.
Chris is a survivor. Rod's the hero.
Yeah.
The Scream King.
The Scream King. All right. Well, thank you guys again for joining us this week. Thank you for watching. We appreciate every view. Let us know below if there's any theories you guys know of that you'd want us to look into, or maybe a series of films that you want us to look into. Let us know in the comments. If you're new, you just coming across this video, you enjoyed it, drop us a like, give us a follow. But thanks again, everybody, for coming in this week and watching. You guys have a good weekend, and we'll leave you with peace.